All right, welcome everyone to PCIA Pro Concepts podcast. It is we are now in September, and I have the pleasure of introducing and bringing on board to the podcast one of our newest staff members. We're probably not even supposed to say youngest, but I don't follow those rules, and I know you don't either, Michael. But Michael Lloyd here with PCIA. Welcome, Michael.
Well, hello. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you. I did a podcast with Kim, the founding principal, and then I thought I would go to the other side and go with one of our newest staff members at PCIA, and Michael came up with a really good concept for today's podcast and we've coined it the 7 elements young professionals search for when choosing a career.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to talk about in today's world. It's got a whole new crop of kids coming out to find jobs and
sure.
Yeah, and this is my 7 key elements, right? But I do think that it applies to my age group. I'm 24, so obviously I'm in that millennial, zillennial, type of age group. So I think this will be a good one.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I of course, working with Michael every day, and when he came up with this, I thought, well, this is perfect. First of all, I get to hear why did he choose PCIA, and then I get to hear why did he choose the insurance agency side of business. But I think that this really applies, for our clients being design professionals, law firms, CPA firms, technology. I think it really applies across the board, right? Mm.
Yeah, definitely.
So something, Michael, that I always like to ask everyone, and I actually know the answer to this question only because I love this book too. But what's your favorite business book you've read recently?
My favorite business book has got to be The Energy Bus. The author escapes me, but when I played basketball in college, my incoming freshman year, my college coach told everybody it was our summer read. So I read it. And I think I read it 2 or 3 times, and I just loved it. I mean, not to be cliche or cheesy, but the energy that I got from that book and just the lifelong lessons were terrific. It's a super quick read. It's like maybe 120 pages, so
sure.
You flip through it pretty darn quick. But the whole story, the message you get from it, I think it's terrific.
Nice. Well, it's funny because I did not realize that you read that while in college. I mean, that's a great book, and I tell you, one of the first things I ask people when I interview staff, new staff members and that kind of thing, and I think this is a very common space anymore, is what's the most recent book you've read, from a business standpoint?
Yeah, with all the, social medias and all the new age technology stuff, it's important to still, ground yourself and read books, and because I think it's just a great way to keep your mind sharp and mental. And
absolutely. My oldest daughter is in college now, and she had an in-person interview for a scholarship situation, and it was one of the questions.
Really?
And thank God, I preach at home the same thing what I preach at the office is that we've got to fill our heads full of good stuff. And thank goodness she's read some good business books and things that would help her. And I think the book she talked about was called Brand Aid. And that's another fantastic book, and it's all about how we each have an individual brand. And our brand is how we dress, how we present ourselves, how our emails come across, but everything we do, social media, all that good stuff is our brand. And so she was able to talk to that, and that gentleman, he actually had told me after the fact that he was super impressed with that book and that type of thing. So
yeah, and I was like a bonus element real quick is Mike definitely gets us in the office to read a lot more than we probably ever thought we would have. Like I can say he's probably put at least 3 different books on my desk for me to take home and read. And he gets a couple of different magazines, every week, I'm
sure.
telling you. And I go through the mail, and he usually gets two copies of every magazine that he gets. And
right.
Typically he'll put the extra copy on my desk and say, hey, just go ahead and skim through this. Just keep your mind sharp, read something.
Sure. Oh, I'm big on Cranes, Detroit Business. I mean, there's a lot of really good publications that come out, and I always feel like it's my job to spread the wealth and the knowledge and all of that kind of thing. So we're kind of all in that same ballpark when it comes to that. So how about something unique that maybe everybody doesn't know about Michael Lloyd?
Yeah. So I recently got married, and my wife, it's funny to say that word. It's not.
How long ago did you get married now?
I got married May 29th. So
okay.
Maybe what is that? 3 months ago, a little less than 3 months ago.
Sure.
So my wife is a 3rd degree black belt, 2-time national silver medalist in Taekwondo. And She just became an instructor recently, just some part-time work and at nights over in Novi. And I started doing the class. I've done it twice now. And so, yeah, I do Taekwondo now. I'm a white belt. I'm so new into it, I don't even have a white belt yet.
Oh, okay.
You have to be at so many classes before you can get your white belt.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'll try it out. I've never really fought before, but
sure.
I'm excited. It's a whole new chapter.
Now, and I can't remember, you're 6'4", is that right?
Yes, I'm 6'4".
So Michael is 6'4", and then his wife is a double black belt. Is that what you called it?
3rd degree. So she's got 2. I don't know how it works exactly. I don't know the prestige of it, but
okay. But 3rd degree black belt.
Yep, you can call her master.
Okay. So between the two of you, I mean, it's like, holy cow, these guys are a force to be reckoned with, So awesome.
Yeah, we're breeding champions. Right. That's the plan.
Exactly. All right. So Taekwondo, anything else? Actually, I know of something. So Michael actually got married, and I think you got licensed and got your insurance license the same week.
Yeah, I actually took the insurance. I didn't pass the insurance exam the first time. I had a lot on my plate. I took it the day before the wedding.
Sure. Okay.
So obviously my mind wasn't exactly, 100% focused. But I got married Saturday, and then I got licensed that next Wednesday, actually. So,
okay. All right.
Very quick turnaround. But yeah, finally got licensed and feels good.
Michael's Mr. Honest Abe over here, admitting that he didn't pass it the first time. And I will say, when I took it, I think I got licensed 27 years ago. Like it was quite a even before I had started at the agency. But 27 years ago, I got licensed, and I didn't pass it the first time either. But
and they show you when you don't pass, they show you how many questions away you were, and I was literally 2 questions away from passing.
Sure.
And it was a heartbreaker.
Yeah. Well, you did it. So
I did it. Yeah.
Right, and right there around with getting married, there's a lot of emotions and things changing at that time. Right. But I know as a group, we were all impressed that you were doing it at that same time you were getting married. So welcome aboard into the insurance world. It's kind of like that movie, The Firm, with Tom Cruise. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Firm.
I haven't.
But the movie The Firm is about a business, and once you join, you're not allowed to leave. Like it's a kind of a spooky type, basically people show up dead if they leave, kind of thing.
Oh,
Not that this happens, but in the insurance world, it seems like once you join the insurance world, no one leaves. So anyway,
I am interested in that type of movie. It sounds like one of those thriller types. So.
It is. It's a little bit older of a movie. It's probably at least 20 years old is my guess. But anyways, I always kind of joke about that with insurance, because once people get into the insurance world, once it's in their blood, it's in their blood. So welcome aboard with us. All right. So 7 elements young professionals search for when choosing a career. What's the first one that you came up with here on this list?
Yeah. The first element that I came up with is knowing whether you want to work for a large or a small company or firm.
Sure.
And for me, I was pretty lucky. I was able to have an internship or 2 before joining the team. And I worked for a very large company, massive company. And then I got to work for a much smaller company. Not quite as small as PCIA, but I got a pretty good flavor of what a large versus a small was going to be like.
Sure.
And when it came to my decision, I thought I want to be known for being me, and I want everybody to kind of know what I'm all about.
Sure.
And I want to be somewhere where it's not the corporate, one size fits all kind of mentality. I like to be able to be creative and show my true self. So. I thought when I came here, I was like, I just got to ask the questions. Yeah. And that's really what it comes down to, is asking the questions and figuring out, what is PCIA all about?
Sure.
And I got a pretty good flavor of what that was when I was interviewing with you guys. And
yeah, you interviewed with a few of us, I remember.
Yeah, I did. I got to interview with you first, and then I got to interview with Tracy and Jamie,
okay,
VP and account executive. So nice. Yeah, I got a pretty good idea of what PCIA was all about. And I love the smaller feel. We're small, but we do a lot of really big things.
Sure,
I think. And,
absolutely.
And when I was hired on, it was like, you're going to be in this role. You're going to be learning the industry. Because when I started, I had no idea anything about insurance. I knew insurance was a bill that you paid, every month, and
sure,
it protected you if you got in trouble.
Right.
But now I know there's a lot more layers to it. And
it's like an onion. Lots of layers. for sure.
And from what I understand, like you're always learning new things. There's always new layers being added onto this onion every other day.
Absolutely.
You know, I know one of the podcasts you previously had was, you know, talking about cyber and stuff like
Sure.
that. And it's a wild world of insurance that we live in.
Oh yeah. I mean, come 5 years ago or so, maybe a little over 5 years, no one had cyber insurance. I mean, we've got firms that have workplace violence insurance. You know, when someone creates an incident within their firm, as far as bodily injury or property damage or something like that. But there's just different types of insurances that are always evolving and that kind of thing. So large versus small. And I didn't share this with you, but coming out of college, I worked for two large, much larger companies, and I knew it wasn't for me as well. I could just feel that the smaller setting, I was one, going to learn more. I was two, going to learn it faster because I could do it more at my pace. And three, when you are with a smaller or mid-sized type company, when you're an intricate part, it's very difficult for them to get rid of you. You know what I mean? I mean, it's very difficult. Whereas when you work for these large corporations, they may have everyone with this title they may decide to lay off. It's just a different ball game. Not that there's not very good large companies, because there are.
Yeah, and when I was at the larger of the two companies that I kind of got a feel for, it was an internship, and they told me basically, like, you're in charge of what you're going to do here. And at the time, when I'm 18 years old, I'm like, okay, I get to do whatever I want, basically. And that's how it was. It was It was come in, do whatever you want to do, and then go home at 5.
Oh wow. Okay.
And like I said, at the time, it was great, but it really was not. It wasn't as good of an experience as it could have been if it was a lot more structured, I think, because you can shadow as many people as you want. You can do this and that, but when you're basically just a blind squirrel trying to find a nut, like in that huge corporate environment, it's pretty tough. And, I did well there. It was fine. It was what it was. But, and I will say I learned quite a bit that I will definitely take with me from, one place to the next. But when I got to the smaller place, the smaller company, it was much more personable. There was still a few different branches. It was in the banking world, but so there was a few different branches, but people knew you by your name. You knew the same people, that would come in, and you would really develop relationships. And I knew that I wanted more of that, and I knew that was going to be somewhere where I was going to personally excel. Because people of course excel in these large corporate roles. Don't get me wrong, but for me personally, it was I want to be somewhere where they're going to know who I am and what I want to do.
And you can make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your comment about structure kind of takes us right into number 2, which is true creative self.
Yeah. So, and all these points really do sort of go hand in hand, I think. But I think one of the great things about PCIA is it's allowed me to really be my creative self, not do whatever I want to do.
Sure. Right.
But put me on a path where, we have a presentation that's coming up for a large company that, we're trying to get their insurance.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, Michael, you're good with PowerPoint. You're good with, all these different creative stuff.
What's the other thing that we talk about? Not PowerPoint, but
Prezi.
I always forget that name.
Prezi's a little bit more of a fun version of PowerPoint.
Sure.
It's a little bit more animated, but
right. And we wanted you to work on this presentation so that it was a fresh perspective and not the same thing that's always been done, right? Which is wonderful.
Yeah, not so black and white. We wanted to add some color into that, and I think it's going to be something that I get to have fun with.
Sure.
I get to come in and put some real time into it and put some real effort into it and be proud that it's mine, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it allowing me to be my true creative self. So.
And that kind of takes us into number 3 as well, which is clients. Clients are really starting to know you. I mean, right now you're answering the phone, and when someone comes in, I mean, lots of different folks at the office answer the phone, and we've all got direct dials, so we don't get a lot of calls on our 800 number. But a lot of times they may get you on the phone, and some of the clients have gotten to know you through that.
Yeah, most definitely. And one of the things that I thought about that kind of made me chuckle is, when you call our 800 number, it's not a service desk. It's not a It's not a client portal where you're calling in and, you're waiting on hold, you're talking to me.
Right.
Like I'm your first line of defense.
It's not voicemail hell.
Right. You're going to talk to the account admin that one kind of knows a little bit about what you're doing already.
Sure.
But is going to say, hey, how's it going? How's this, how's that? And then going to get you directed to where you need to go.
Right.
And I think that that's also something that's very cool that, PCIA offers is, you're, like I said, you're going to talk to me.
Sure.
And I'm a real part of the company. I'm not, I'm not just the, press 2 if you want to go here,
Right.
Oh, please hold. It's nothing like that. It's,
Right.
I'm going to put you on a brief hold, but you're going to talk to Teresa in 3 seconds.
Right. Or Jamie or
Right.
May or Catherine or whoever.
Exactly.
So, okay. Awesome. All right. So how about number 4? What are we on to?
Number 4, and I guess it's not a very creative name for number 4, but I get to deal with everybody every day. Every part of this team, this well-oiled machine, I deal with every day. I come in and I talk to Mike every day.
Sure.
And at a lot of places, corporate, even smaller companies, you don't see the owner.
Right.
I've worked at, multiple places where you never ever meet the owner. You might see them on like a Zoom call with every other employee.
Oh, I gotcha.
But that's the only interaction you have with the CEO of the company.
Sure.
Right. But no, I come in the morning, I talk to Mike, and then, I take 2 steps over and I'm talking to Teresa.
Right.
I take another couple steps, I'm talking to Jen.
Right.
And every day, Catherine or May, they're calling me on the phone.
I was just going to ask you that. So a lot of our clients have staff working at home. We do as well, during these times. And I think that as an industry, as a business, not an industry, but as a business, all businesses are probably going to be more flexible in that space where you've got people working from home and then you've got others working from the office or a combination of the two. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of curious how often you're talking to the folks that are at home, but it sounds like at least on an every other day basis or something like that.
I would say multiple times a day.
Oh,
easily.
Okay.
Whether it be an email or phone call form, literally every day I talk to everybody that's on our team.
Sure. Nice.
There's of course exceptions. Someone's on a vacation. Of course,
right.
I'm not talking to them. But
exactly.
But yeah, you have access to everybody at any time.
And what does that get you? Getting access to everybody all the time.
Oh, all kinds of. You get the experience and the opportunity to really grow and learn every little detail that you could want to learn. You can pretty much call and ask anybody on the team about.
Sure.
And I think that's really, really important to my personal development as somebody who came in as fresh as it gets.
Sure.
So,
and that I know this story, but I've done every job at the agency as well because I came in right out of college also, and actually I worked through high school and that type of thing. But when I joined, I wasn't even given a title because I was told I was terrible at everything. And
you guys have been much nicer to me.
Because I didn't know anything, you know what I mean? But I was actually not allowed to answer the phone because I was told you'll probably mess that up. So no, don't answer the phone.
Well, I was a little nervous the first time I answered the phone. I will admit, just because I knew we're all professionals here, very, very, experienced professionals. So
right.
It was easy enough to do though, of course, but
yeah,
just present yourself with that level of professionalism.
Well, in today's space, back then, we did our newsletters were all done via bulk mail, and so I was allowed to stuff the newsletters into the envelopes and do label, all those kind of things. But the voicemail systems, I have to say, even our phone system, because we have those VoIP phones. I think that's what you call it, VoIP. But all through the computer. We don't even have phones anymore. We have headsets. And it connects directly to the computer. And I have to say, even though I've done every job, it's very intimidating to me, the technology. I'm like, can I just answer the phone? Because there's all these different things that our system does and very, very high tech, which is nice. So
yeah, and to one more point for this number 4 here is everybody really cares about what you're doing, not only because what you're doing directly affects what they're doing, but also they want you to succeed. Everybody that I've interacted with from the get-go has always been, very, very encouraging, very, very optimistic, very, very nice.
Good. So. I didn't even pay him to say that, so I love hearing this. All right, so then that takes us on to the opportunity to grow, and we kind of kicked on this a little bit, but being the size we are, you've got the opportunity to be the maker of your own destiny and really do anything within PCIA.
Right. And I will say from the get-go, it was always, you're going to be an account manager because it's a great place to start and it's a great place to learn the insurance industry, as well as like what we do, what everybody does, because I touch a little bit of what everybody does on a daily basis. And from the get-go, it was always, you're going to start here, but we're going to move you. The goal is to move you into a more, I don't want to say productive, but I think you kind of get where I'm going.
Sure.
It's like
to learn other things within the agency.
Right. And to be a little bit more client facing, a little bit more, sales oriented, I guess you could say. Maybe not a salesman per se, but the account
consulting
manager
or whatever. Sure.
And so,
and you've got a big background in, I say big background, but you've got a background in training and coaching. And as an agency, we do a lot of that. With our clients, we do continuing education programs and, go into their offices and we've started to do a program on professionalism in the workforce so that, if it's a, young group of attorneys at one of our law firms, we can sit down with them and just talk about what does it mean to be professional in the workforce, starting with handshake and appearance and, how the email tone is, all of those types of things. But I know you've got a background in the training and coaching segment, so that might be a natural segment for you to go into someday as well.
Yeah, and I think that was a major talking point when we were going through the interview process was, one of the things that we do as an agency is all that training and how much of a hand in glove fit it might be to just move into that sort of role. And I know that's kind of an account executive type role. And of course, sure. That was an option, one of the many options that are presented to me, one of the, destinies that could potentially happen. So, I think the opportunity to grow is definitely an important one. And it's something that you really just have to ask the questions in the interviews.
Sure.
When you do any interview with any company, don't assume anything, just ask the questions.
Right. Awesome. Good point. All right. So how about location? Number 6 was location.
Yeah, this is, I guess not one that you can always control, but for me, I've worked in Detroit and I've worked, an hour away. And
so you're talking commute.
Yeah, commute wise, you're going to want to be somewhere that you want to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be, where you live. I live in Howell, which is basically Brighton West.
Right.
But
20, what do you have, a 15?
Yeah, I think it's 15
drive?
minutes.
Sure.
About. And if you want to work in, Detroit, if you want to work in a big city, you want to work, wherever, and you just have to know that going in. And, for me, I've done the hour commutes, I've done the 45-minute commutes, and they're fine. Everybody does it every day. My dad's always done it for as long as he's ever worked.
Right. Okay.
And I just knew that isn't something that I necessarily wanted to do. Not so that I could go home during the day or anything like for lunch, but I just knew I want to be close to home. I want to work where
we all get 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
It depends on how you want to use those 24 hours. And our offices originally for 18, close to 20 years, I guess now, was in Ann Arbor. And all of us live up in the Brighton area, and we would all commute in and commute out. And that commute is not a fun commute sometimes. I mean, the traffic can be pretty heavy. But so we ended up having to build our own building in order to get our tails up to the Brighton area and that kind of thing. And I remember for the first year of us being there, we would say to each other, "Holy cow, this is amazing." It was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like we got 2 hours back of our days. And, you get better sleep, you have more time with your family, all of that kind of stuff. So good. So I think location is important. I think the studies show that the younger generations are looking for less of a commute than what we've had in the past. So.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of driving super long distances to go to work, right? Like
Sure.
I'll drive super long distances to do, to go on vacation, of course. But
right. But every day, that's a lot.
It's a bit silly to think about. I mean, and it gets expensive, right? Like,
Sure.
Gas prices ain't cheap right now. So makes sense to want to drive close or be close to home.
Sure. All right. So how about our last one? How about number 7?
Number 7 is look for a place that encourages time spent away from the office, whether it's doing company events or just time out of the office. I know one of the cool, very, very cool things that PCIA offers is unlimited PTO,
Sure.
which is pretty cool. I mean, it's unlimited with, don't take advantage, of course, and nobody has, luckily, which is awesome.
No,
but
we've got a good team.
But from the get-go, it was always, if you have kids that have events, if you have, vacations coming up, if you have anything going on, like, look to take the time away from the office. If you can get done what you need to get done, take the time away from the office. And
I always say to everybody, I mean, we should be at our our children's sporting events, all of that. And so we are very flexible on that. And I think that's your point, is the flexibility piece.
And I mean, I remember my dad, bless his heart. I mean, even though he was an hour and a half away, he was at literally every sporting event from
that's amazing
7th grade on.
That's amazing.
And I can't imagine not being there for my kids of the future.
Sure, right.
So it's definitely just something that's sort of been burned in my brain. Is you're at your kids' events, you're at your family's events, and I love that PCIA was able to offer that, and just it really does encourage that. I mean, even I remember you've even said, if you're really grinding it, if you're really grinding, I'll even say to you, maybe you should take the next day off. Maybe you should take a half day or something.
Sure, right.
Because, I think that when you're really working, I mean, it wears on you. I mean, I'm only 24. So, who am I to say, if you're burning the candle at both ends, but
we can watch you sweat a little bit more than the others. Is that what you're
exactly.
No. All right. So you kind of hit on it that, we do events as a group, at least on a quarterly basis, I would say. So we typically do something with the change of the season and all that good stuff. So what do we have cooking coming up?
Yeah. So a little bit of a announcement to make. We as a PCIA team are going to be going over to Spicer's Orchard. I don't know the exact day, but I know it's going to be a Thursday at 4. So for the PCIA team watching this is a little bit of an Easter egg for you to make sure you're watching.
Nice.
But,
what are we going to do at Spicer's? What's Spicer's?
Spicer's is a orchard/winery, and I think the plan is to kind of hang out over there and enjoy the evening and
nice.
Yeah, just enjoy each other's company. Just the time away from the office to kind of recharge the battery and hang out a little bit and have some fun.
Get a pumpkin.
Yeah, and get a pumpkin or a gourd or whatever suits your fancy. But I know that place has some pretty awesome ciders and stuff like that. So I'm very, very excited for that.
I think they have hard ciders even, don't they?
Oh, yeah. If you're a hard cider fan, that's the place to be.
Okay. All right. Well, and we had an event at our office building with a few of the local chambers couple of weeks ago, and Spicer's had brought in some wine, and I'd never had any of their wine, and I had their red wine, and I was like, my gosh, this is amazing. I mean, it's an amazing Michigan wine. So
yeah, they also do those charcuterie boards. I hope I said that word right, but yeah, and those are pretty awesome too, the meat and cheeses and stuff like that. So
sure,
it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So a charcuterie board, my wife loves that term as well, and I always call it's an adult. Oh gosh, what's the
lunchable?
It's an adult lunchable. I mean, sprinkle a few nuts and some crackers and cheese and meat. You know what I mean? But
go ahead and spell charcuterie for me.
Right. Yeah. Good luck on that one.
Right.
All right. Well, hey, Michael, it was a pleasure having you on with us. Thank you for coming today and spending time going through this. And so I hope that was of interest to everyone as far as, what young staff might be looking for in joining your firms. So if you'd like to reach out to PCIA, our number is 800-969-4041. And Michael Lloyd will answer the phone if you hit 0 kind of a thing. But chances are that Michael will be the one answering the phone. And then our website is pciaonline.com. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, Michael, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.